Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, JDF soldier arrested in $47 million phishing scam. A Jamaica Defense Force soldier was arrested Tuesday morning for his alleged involvement in a phishing scam that has defrauded the National Commercial Bank of over $47 million. Reports are that between April and June 2022, the funds were illegally accessed from a number of accounts held at NCB through an online phishing scam. It is further alleged that the stolen money was subsequently transferred to various beneficiary accounts, which have since been used to withdraw funds or further transfer them to other banking institutions. Agents from the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency and officers from the counter-terrorism and organized crime branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force made the arrest at 10 a.m. It is reported that the lawmen picked up the soldier, who is suspected of being a part of an organized criminal syndicate, and took him to his Kingston residence, which was searched. Mocha said an address linked to another suspect, who is currently in custody, was also searched. A number of electronic devices were seized during the search, and the charges are expected to be laid shortly, Mocha said in a news release on Tuesday. This morning's arrest highlights the commitment of Mocha and its law enforcement partners to dismantling organized crime networks and holding accountable those involved in complex financial crimes. It also underscores the importance of collaboration between intelligence, investigative, and technological capabilities in tackling cyber-enabled financial crimes, said Major Basil Jarrett, Director of Communications at Mocha. Major Jarrett went on to thank the JDF for its collaboration on the matter, noting its zero-tolerance approach towards illicit activities of its members. The JDF has a long history of discipline and integrity and is determined to preserve that reputation. Their support and partnership on this case was invaluable, he said. Man fined $200,000 for traveling under false name. A man has been fined $200,000 or 6 months in prison after he submitted to authorities and traveled under a fake name. The verdict was handed down against Kevin Wright on Tuesday when he appeared in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court, charged with uttering a forged document. Prosecutors alleged that Wright submitted the name Leroy Campbell to officials in Jamaica when he applied for an emergency certificate to allow him to return to the country from overseas. The certificate was granted, and Wright arrived in the country under the false name. Before his case could even be heard, though, his cell phone got him in trouble with the judge when it rang in the quiet courtroom. After a row with a court officer and a reprimand from the sitting judge Chester Cooper, Wright was kicked out of the courtroom and held in a lockup until his case was called. When he finally got the opportunity to speak regarding his charges, Wright said, "In foreign I was in the system under that name, and I used it when I came back, so that is the problem." Wright did not disclose why he had been using the false name while he was overseas. He subsequently pleaded guilty and was sentenced. Man fined $200,000 for absconding bail in 11-year-old case. A man who absconded bail in 2013 following a date mix-up was fined $200,000 in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday. Carlington Bryan appeared before a judge for the first time since his case had been called up over a decade earlier. The man's attorney explained that his client, for whom a bench warrant was issued, had missed his initial court date, and when he turned up after, was erroneously told the matter had been disposed of. However, the matter that had actually been disposed of was against the Bryan's co-accused. He said Bryan was therefore unaware that he was still facing charges of larceny of a motor vehicle, conspiracy to commit larceny, and malicious destruction. When Bryan finally appeared in the court on Tuesday, the charge of absconding bail was added to the offenses. He pleaded not guilty to the first 3 charges, but admitted his guilt to the last. However, in a further twist to the case, prosecutors could offer no evidence against Bryan regarding his original charges as the records pertaining to the case could not be found. Chief Parish Judge Chester Crooks ordered Brand to either pay the $200,000 fine or spend the 6 months in prison for absconding bail. Brand's attorney indicated the man had elected to pay the fine. St. Thomas farmer freed of murder. A 37-year-old farmer was freed of a murder charge in the St. Thomas Parish Court on Monday. Marvin McEwan from the said parish was allowed to walk free after being before the court for more than a year, arising from a domestic dispute between himself and his now deceased neighbor, Kuwait Wright. Allegations are that on November 9, 2023, a resident heard Wright shouting out that someone was about to kill him. About an hour later, the resident exited his home and saw Wright's lifeless body with what appeared to be chop wounds. Before the arrival of the lawmen on the scene, McEwan went to the police station and made a report that he was attacked by the now deceased, and in self-defense he chopped him. McEwan eventually led the police to the location of the body where 2 machetes were seen. McEwan was represented by King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Patrice Riley, who submitted from the outset that in the absence of an eyewitness, the allegations as they were did not disclose a case for the accused to answer a charge of murder. In a detailed submission, Riley submitted in court that there was no evidence to display self-defense. The senior parish judge agreed with the submission, and McEwan was freed. Bunting criticizes Prime Minister's euphemistic characterization of mass shootings. Shadow Minister on National Security, Peter Bunting, has issued a sharp critique of Prime Minister Andrew Holness's response to the latest mass shooting in Waltham Park Road. Mr. Bunting condemned the Prime Minister's characterization of these killings as a multiple victim violent incident, calling it a euphemistic attempt to downplay the frequent incidents of mass shootings, scarring Jamaica's international image and devastating many local communities. He said that Dr. Holness's minimization of the horrific incident is a disservice to the victims and their grieving families. Mr. Bunting said no amount of public relations spin can obscure the grim reality of an increasing trend of mass shootings. He pointed out that international media outlets, including the Associated Press, Toronto Sun, The Washington Post, ABC News, and others, have all reported this tragic incident at Waltham Park Road as a mass shooting. Bunting further criticized the government's handling of crime as a failure of national security policy and a collapse of public safety in many of our communities. Mr. Bunting also questioned the completeness of Jamaica's murder statistics. He said reports suggest that between 100 to 200 deaths are currently categorized as undetermined, though many of those will ultimately be adjudged to be homicides. Mr. Bunting said the Jamaican people deserve full and prompt disclosure from the government, noting that increasing incidents of mass shootings in Jamaica should be neither normal nor acceptable. Mr. Bunting said the country needs decisive and comprehensive action to restore safety, rebuild the trust, and end this senseless violence. Mr. Bunting also extended condolences to the families of the deceased and called the authorities to exhaust all resources in bringing the perpetrators of this heinous crime to justice. PSOJ slams racially charged statements by JLP MP against the opposition leader. The private sector organization of Jamaica has condemned the recent racially charged statements made by Member of Parliament for St. Catharines South Western, Everald Warmington. Mr. Warmington, while speaking at Tivoli Gardens High School, declared that he would rather die than be led by a white British man, referring to opposition leader Mark Golding. He further suggested that the opposition leader should seek office in Britain, where he believes he would be more comfortable. The PSOJ said those inflammatory remarks, delivered from a position of political authority and before an audience at an educational institution, represent a dangerous and deliberate attempt to reject a racial division into the country's political discourse. It said that the statements are alarming, as they threaten to resurrect one of the darkest chapters in Jamaica's political history. The PSOJ emphasized that such rhetoric eerily echoes the divisive political discourse in Jamaica's past, which was marked by deep social upheaval, economic instability, and tragic political violence. It added that the nation must not be dragged backwards into an era where political differences were inflamed by racial and class divisions, resulting in profound national trauma that took generations to heal. The PSOJ has called for the nation to denounce the recent actions by Mr. Warmington. It also called for urgent intervention from the Office of the Political Ombudsman, now operating within the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. It said the current situation demands a comprehensive review of enforcement mechanisms within the political code of conduct, with the establishment of clear, enforceable consequences for breaches of this nature. The PSOJ said the integration of the Political Ombudsman's office into the ECJ framework makes this movement particularly crucial for demonstrating institutional effectiveness in addressing serious violations of political conduct. People's National Party President Mark Golding has said he is disappointed that the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party has not denounced the racist rhetoric directed at him by some of its members. Government members of Parliament Juliet Cuthbert Flynn and Everald Warmington have been at the forefront of racially charged remarks on the opposition leader, targeting his skin color and ethnicity. At a recent political meeting, Mr. Warmington asserted that a white man should never become Prime Minister of Jamaica. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Mr. Golding said the attacks are an indication of the JLP's lack of principle. He reiterated that he is a proud Jamaican, adding that the racial attacks smack of political desperation. Heavy rains render Portland roadways impassable. Days of torrential rainfall have created severe damage to the road network in Portland, where multiple landslides have occurred in several communities, rendering some roadways inaccessible to vehicular traffic and pedestrians. Denise Lewis, Parish Disaster Coordinator for Portland, told the news on Tuesday that emergency teams are on high alert. She noted that roadways in Coopers Hill, New Road, Windsor, and in sections of the Rio Grande Valley were impacted and were being cleared for single-lane traffic. We have flooding and landslide impact within the parish. We have the communities of Breastworks, Nailers Road, and a free school in Port Antonio. And we have families impacted as a result of flooding, she commented. We also have landslides at New Road, Windsor, Coopers Hill, Bangor Ridge, and a few other areas. However, the responsible agencies have responded. Information has been put forward to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and their teams are very vigilant. The Portland Municipal Corporation continues to be on alert, along with members of Parish Disaster Committee, to ensure that the necessary actions are taken, she added. On Tuesday, Portland Eastern Member of Parliament Anne-Marie Vaz toured sections of the affected communities, including Seaview Farm, Halls Avenue, Breastworks, Fellowship, and Bondebrook, where several homes were inundated as rivers to overflow their banks. It is bad period for my East Portland family, but I am standing by them in this flooding. We will see this through together, and I will provide the necessary assistance that is needed, Vaz said. I urge you not to take any unnecessary risk, as your lives are far more important than anything else. Already, I am organizing some relief supplies, including basic food items, toiletries, sanitizers, blankets, tarpaulins, and flashlights, which will be distributed between today and tomorrow once the weather allows us to do so, she told some residents. Lucan Edwards recalled being trapped by the Coopers Hill landslide as he tried to cross on foot. After losing his shoes and getting stuck in the mud, he shouted for help. One of his friends, noticing he couldn't move, rushed to assist him. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.